Hi and welcome back to another episode of Storm Stories. Today we are joined by Lucy Drinkwater. She is our Head of Services and Solutions here at Storm. So Lucy, can you tell us how and why you joined Storm?
So I'd been doing recruitment for 3.5 years before I joined Storm, and I'd hit almost a ceiling in that industry about what I could be recruiting for or the roles that I could take on within the business where I was at. So I became a self-recruiter for myself to find myself a new opportunity, and I saw that Storm were recruiting to expand in their software licensing team. I'd recruited for some similar roles in the reseller world, from account management, pre-sales and technical, and it was just something of interest. I knew less than nothing about the industry really, apart from the roles that I'd looked after myself, and it was just a really interesting concept for me to go into. The company seemed really young, family orientated, which was a real key thing for me as well, and they had some really aggressive growth plans which I thought were really interesting, and was lucky enough to be offered the position.
And you've been here 12 years now.
I have.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So over your time, you must have had some really interesting projects. What are your favourite ones, if you have any?
There's so many. I think the weirdest thing that I've ever done for a customer, they work in the defence industry, and it wasn't so much a project, it was me working as a specialist buyer for them at the time. They knew what they wanted. They wanted a really specific piece of software that you could input some wonderful telemetry around the composition of a product or a material, for example, and they would put in another amount of data which would allow them to calculate its absorption of energy, for example, in that industry, without being too specific about what it was for. And it was just fascinating. I've never had to look at another piece of software like that, but I think it was in my first 6 months that I looked at something like that. So that was really interesting. And the rest of my time over the 12 years, I've done so many good projects, and it's just really satisfying to solve business outcome-based solutions. So having a customer with a huge problem, which you can fix either by working like with the team around me, for example, or bringing in just some simple changes to their licensing agreement, for example, which can save them hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's just that it's really self-gratifying to be able to help people. We deal with a lot of charities as well, so that's even more satisfying when you can almost offer them that back into them when they're so struggling for their revenue-based driven targets and everything like that, which they're struggling to get their donations, for example, as well. And just seeing that you're solving all these problems, it's just really fun.
So you mentioned working as a team a lot. How do you manage to bring everyone together to provide the best solutions to your clients?
I think I'm so lucky that where we work, everyone has the same mindset of the customer does come first as well, and we really come together as a collective, and I'm privileged to have such a great team that I work with as well. I think there's no single person that has like the I mindset, for example. Everyone is really collaborative, and that goes from the ground up in our business as well. So even if we have customers on site, from front of house to the account manager to the senior management team, everyone has that same mindset of let's help our customers achieve what they want to do. So when we have a big project, everyone is so hands-on with everything. They really own their own parts of it, and they make sure that they're collaborating with their colleagues in those different sectors and making sure they're still collaborating with the customer team as well. So we almost become a huge extension of that customer as well, which is just really nice to see when everyone comes together.
So we mentioned already that you've been here quite a while. What's your journey been like here at Storm?
It's been a whirlwind. It's amazing how much you can fit into 12 years in a company as well, and long may it continue as well. So when I first started, I think I've already mentioned, I knew nothing about the industry. So going into a role where you had no idea what you were stepping into as well. And again, I've talked about the team around me. I was lucky that I had such a great support network here at the company to really get me on that ladder into the industry, from understanding what software licensing is. I think everyone still thinks it's a dark art, which is great because it keeps us employed and delivering all those great services to our customers. But I think as our business grew, I could really see that we needed to work in a more collaborative manner across the group as well. And software licensing was just expanding every single time we really looked at it from a business point. So speaking to the business, it was more about bringing everyone together to work to the same ideas rather than siloing the business units or anything like that. So I think when I look at my progression throughout the industry and here at Storm as well, my background is software licensing, then I became manager of that team and then went into the solutions manager role, bringing that team together. And I think you can't have a good manager without a good team, and I'm nothing without my team as well. And I think that's really important to put out, that they are such a great bunch. It really helps bring everyone together, and by having that great team and bringing them together, it's kind of now where I've got being services and solutions, because that's such a customer and yet people-centric focused role for in the business. And long may it continue. What does my future here at Storm hold? Who knows? But it's here at Storm, and I think that's the really important thing as well. And it's really exciting where we are at the moment with the business, seeing all the different technologies coming in, AI, or the disruptive technologies out there as well. It is a really exciting time in the industry, and I'm really glad to be part of it.
So just touching on AI and other disruptive technologies, what do you think is the next big thing?
I think AI is the hot topic at the moment for everyone. If it's not ChatGPT, for example, and if you're a Microsoft buff and you've not been living under a rock, you would have seen Copilot announcement, and that is going to be huge. I think everyone looking at those announcements, and Microsoft do them with the Windows 11 and having all those Copilot capabilities from security and everything they're bringing out is just fascinating. And I think some people are scared about AI. They don't really know, is it going to replace me? Is it not going to replace me, for example? And I think, no, I don't think it should be replacing people. I think it should be enhancing people as well. It should really be a case of, how can I improve what I'm doing or get more out of my day, for example? And I think AI has got those capabilities. It's a huge supercomputer, and with the right training or ability, it should work with you, not for or against, if that makes sense as well. So I think it's, work with AI, and I think companies are going to absolutely thrive.
So we know that you're massively into tech. Is there anything outside of Storm, outside of work, that you're also into?
I've been known to quite like Lego. I don't mean the tiny sets, I mean like the Lego Technics and everything like that. I've got some real cool sets going on at the moment at home. Got the Ghostbusters car, that's on the build at the moment. My niece and nephew are my absolute world. If I'm not at home relaxing, enjoying some indulgent food out somewhere like that, I am playing with them, playing with their Duplo boxes with them. And travel, I absolutely love to travel. I'm going on holiday soon, so I'm very excited about that as well.
And lastly, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Ooh, don't be afraid. Everything does happen for a reason, and it will work out. Don't be afraid to take those risks. Don't be alarmed that something's changed and you weren't prepared for it. I think if I hadn't have got through recruitment and then joined the tech world, I wouldn't be where I am at the moment. So I think it was a big risk for me at the time, and I was really unsure about making that jump, and yet it's the best thing I could have ever done.
What a great piece of advice, and what a great way to end your story. Lucy, thank you so much for joining us today, and join us next time for our next episode of Storm Stories.